I have a top 10 favorite movies of all time. And almost all of them may or may not be on other people's list, but they look at it and go, oh yeah, that one's great. And oh yeah, that one's great, except for one. The one I always list is in my all-time top 10 is the one that makes people go, wait, that one's on your list? The original, The Highlander. With Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, the now iconic Clancy Brown as the Kurgan. It is, I'm not telling you it's one of the best films of all time, but it is one of my favorites. I love this movie so deeply, so passionately, and then the sequel went right to the shitter. That sequel was so bad. Even though it had the great Michael Ironside in it, that sequel was so bad. At any rate, there's been talk for years. I mean, we're going back to my AMC, maybe even my movie blog days, about them rebooting The Highlander. Now, at first, it was going to be Ryan Reynolds. You guys remember that? For a couple of years, they were developing a Ryan Reynolds vehicle as a Highlander reboot. That eventually kind of fell away. Had different writers, different directors come and go. And then the news came. Henry Cavill, my boy Henry, was going to be in it. And one of the John Wick directors, Chad Stahelski, was going to be the director of it, dude who really knows his action. And the heavens opened up, the angels sang, and all was good in the world. Well, that was about 32 years ago. It's been a long time. And actually, we just recently, maybe last month, we had some of our viewers writing in questions and asking, is this thing even still happening? Because we haven't heard anything in forever. And even I was like, I haven't heard that it's been canceled, but I'm starting to wonder if it's still going on. Well, good news. The director of the film, Chad Stahelski, was just on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, which my business manager is actually producer of that show, as a matter of fact. But they had Chad on. They specifically asked him, and he reassured everybody, hey, yeah, this movie's still coming. It's still in development. And he even gave us some insight into it when he said this. I think we have some very good elements now. The trick is when you have the tagline, there can be only one. By the way, he missaid it there. This is a little pet peeve of mine. It's not there can only be one. It's there can be only one. Anyway, that's it. You can't just kill everybody the first time. I'll say it for you first. Our story engages a lot of the same characters and stuff like that, but we've also brought in elements of the TV shows, and we're trying to do it as a bit of a prequel to set up The Gathering so we have room to grow the property. All right. So a couple of interesting little nuggets there. Number one, that they're going to be incorporating some of the lore from the TV shows. Of course, there was the big major, the Highlander TV show. What was the name? Adrian something or other?
The actor?
Yeah, the actor. He had the long black hair. He was actually really good. He was really good in the role. I didn't love the show, but I kind of liked it, and he was really good in it.
Adrian Paul?
That's it, exactly. Adrian Paul. No relation to Logan, as far as I know. But, so they're going to incorporate some of that. There he is. Yeah. There he is.
It kind of looks like Sean Connery in a way.
You know what? I have never seen it, but you're right. He does have a little bit. Like, if you told me he was Sean Connery's nephew, I might buy it at any rate. So they're incorporating some of that into it. But the big thing for me here is that they are looking at this as a franchise. And I love the way he's thinking ahead, saying, we're not going to kill everybody in the first movie because we want room to grow. We want to be able to go somewhere. And ultimately, like the first Highlander movie, it even begins with the fact that the gathering is happening. For those of you who don't know anything about the Highlander lore, throughout history, immortals have been born. They don't know why. They don't find out that they're immortal until their first natural death, and they have no idea, but they all have this one compulsion that they know that at some time in the future, they're going to feel an irresistible pull to go to a far off place. And that is where the gathering happens, where they will battle each other until there's only one left. And they will win what they only know to be as the prize. They don't know how, they don't know why, they don't know how they're created, any of that kind of stuff. It's marvelous. It's fabulous mythology. I love the Highlander. So the idea that they're not going to actually climax the gathering right in the first movie is kind of a cool approach.
Take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Marine Lair. All of us as guys are always looking for shirts that look good, but more importantly, are comfortable. Now, I want you to imagine the softest thing you've ever worn, and that's Marine Lair. Marine Lair is the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Based out of California, where we are, Marine Lair clothes are that perfect mix of laid-back style that also looks and feels premium. And these t-shirts stay soft no matter how many times you wash them. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, our listeners and viewers get an exclusive 15% off discount with the code Campea at marinelair.com. Like many of you guys, when I looked at Marine Lair's website, I could tell how good their clothes looked. But it wasn't until I got my hands on them and actually put them on that I knew just how unbelievably comfortable they are, which for me is the most important thing. And guys, how many times have you felt that you were in between sizes when buying clothes? What's cool about Marine Lair is that they have in between sizes. You finally no longer have to make that difficult choice between medium and large and extra large. I think we can all admit that the perfect tee is hard to find, but look no further than Marine Lair. For a limited time, get 15% off with the code Campea at marinelair.com. That's Campea for 15% off your entire order at marinelair.com. Saving your closet one shirt at a time.
Anyway, Rob, I am obviously tickled that, first of all, I love Highlander. Getting Henry to be, Connor McLeod. I'm super stoked for this, that, but I also like what I'm hearing about their philosophy and their approach to the movie. What do you think about this? Is this a movie that even should be remade? Do you think the right players are involved? What do you think about what he's talked about here? Should they make just a more beat for beat accurate recreation of the first movie? What do you think?
Well, the first movie is so much of its time.
It's so true.
With the Queen soundtrack.
Oh, the awesome Queen soundtrack.
And Russell Mulcahy, who directed the movie, really cut his teeth doing Duran Duran music videos. And then he made a movie called Razorback about a killer pig. And it feels like you can't get more 80s than Highlander. That said, it's badass. I mean, there's just something, the way you shift between the modern day and then the flashbacks into the past. The camera would go into the water in one era and come out in another era. The transitions were beautiful. It was, very music video photography. But like you said, the mythology is so interesting. And I thought, if you go back, I recently rewatched the movie, and I was struck by all the other characters, like the other immortals that McLeod is friends with.
Right.
You see them briefly, and some of them you see longer than others, but I'm like, these are really cool. Like, these people liked each other, and I think hearing the comments from the director here makes me think, like, okay, the TV show did introduce a lot of cool stuff to the mythology. You got rid of that horrible alien planet, which said that the immortals were not from Earth.
Which, by the way, was introduced in the second film.
Terrible. Just
And by the way, do you ever notice that, once they got to Highlander 3, everything in Highlander after that just pretended that Highlander 2 didn't exist? They got rid of that stupid thing.
Well, because it made them not human anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, if they're aliens, who cares if they kill each other?
And they were alien criminals
right.
whose criminal punishment was to go to Earth and be immortal.
Yeah.
That was your punishment.
I mean, it just so didn't
dumb.
work out. So this actually is exciting, and especially if they're planning it from the beginning, that they have a plan. It's nice to know that, hey, you're going to make a trilogy or something. You've got a plan. That's fantastic, and that means
Kathleen Kennedy's like, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, don't bother.
Don't bother with the plan.
Well,
but no, I did think
exactly.
it sounds to me good. I'm excited because it's, you know what? Even though the sequel number 2 is terrible, there's the one with Mario Van Peebles. I think
Which
it's
I think
the
is
third
the
one.
third one, yeah.
I think that we just like the idea of Highlander. So if you get a good Highlander remake, why not?
I'm keeping my fingers crossed for this very, very much. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.